Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about this situation with Mark Gastineau and Brett Frere confrontation. So I guess there's an upcoming 30 for 30 on ESPN about Mark Gastineau and why he's not in the NFL Hall of Fame and whatnot. And he basically confronted Brett Favre, I guess, last year at a meet and greet. And he was like, I want my sack back. I want my sack back. So here's the thing. And I don't know what people side on this or not, but Mark Gastineau being this bitter about Brett Favre allegedly taking a dive, which he did not take a dive from Michael Strahan, by the way, despite what the commentators make you believe. If you watched his original press conference after it had happened in 2001, you would know, or first week of 2002, whatever it was, 2001 season, you would know that Brett Favre did not intentionally want to give the record to Strahan. All right. Most quarterbacks, even today, when they know, the defender's right on them and there's nowhere getting out of it, a lot of times they will fall down. Like, Farb wasn't the first person to do this, and we see it a lot more in today's game now. So it's not like this was uncommon, and Brett Favre actually did it a lot of times in his career, especially later in his career. Like, towards the end of, his career, when he was getting really older, he would take a dive if he knew, the defender was right up on him and there was nowhere to get the ball out in time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this isn't factually true at all. Now, yes, they were trying to close out the game. It was a long time ago, but they were winning. They were winning 34-25, and there was about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. And obviously, the Giants were trying to get the ball back, so they had to get a first down to close out the game. So obviously they were still trying to win the game, and obviously trying to pass the ball would have been the best way to go about, like, trying to do that. But because when he rolled out and Strahan was literally right there, it made more sense for Favre to just fall down and take this and let Strahan get the sack, because obviously if he threw the ball away in that situation, the clock would have stopped. And I don't remember like what timeouts they had at the time, because again, this was back in 2001 or 2002. But if you use timeout, you stop the clock. If you throw an incompletion, that stops the clock by default. So they're not wasting a timeout. So Farb taking a dive, and letting Strahan get the sack actually makes sense in a football sense situation, because you don't want the other team to not have to waste their timeout, right? So Farb falling down for Strahan at that moment when Strahan is literally right on top of him, there's nowhere to get out, and if he throws the ball away, basically the Giants got a free timeout without having to use their timeout. So instead, Farb falls down and lets Strahan get the sack, because again, in a football situation, it makes fucking sense. Okay? It was not the wrong move. Even if you want to argue that Farb intentionally did it, again, in the football sense, in a football situation, it's better to get sacked than let the defense basically, get a free timeout by throwing the ball away. If he had thrown the ball away, and not prevent and prevented Strahan from getting the sack, he would have basically given the Giants a free timeout. That's stupid. Okay? So, again, this logic makes no sense. Okay? And that's what no one really is talking about either. Everyone's just talking about how he handed the record to Strahan. And nobody is talking about the football situation of the game itself that was going on. You know, you're trying to close out the game. You know, they were only down. The Giants were only down by a touchdown, so they would have had a chance to get the ball back and potentially win. Obviously, the Packers were trying to prevent them from getting the ball again before the game ended. Now that being said, to my point on Mark Gastineau totally being wrong about Brett Frere letting Strahan get the quote-unquote sack record, and I say that in quotations because I'll get more to that later on. But here's another problem, and that's this whole Hall of Fame thing. Now, this is where I'm going to kind of agree with Mark Gastineau, even though, again, he's being completely selfish when it comes to this whole sack record thing, because, again, it makes sense, as I just said, why Brett Favre did what he did. Whether it was intentional or not, which I don't believe it was. But here I'm going to defend a little bit of Mark Gastineau about the Hall of Fame thing. So from that little video clip that they played about Mark Gastineau and why he's not in the Hall of Fame and stuff like that, first and foremost, I want to just say him not having the sack record anymore in a single season has nothing to do with him not getting in the Hall of Fame. If that's the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame, then all these Hall of Fame people should get their. I mean, I've been very critical on the Hall of Fame process to begin with, anyways. On how they elect people into the Hall of Fame, because they say that, you know, the off the field stuff has nothing to do with the criteria of getting in the Hall of Fame, but it obviously does, because that's why people have to wait longer than they should have. That's what they did to Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, but yet he had to wait like 3 years after his eligibility to get in. Okay. So obviously they do take an account on whether someone has a character issue or if they, you know, have a big mouth or whatever. Because Terrell Owens, had a mouth, which means that he gets taken to a back seat, basically. And that's what I think kind of the case here is with Mark Gastineau, is that it seems like Mark Gastineau, because he was like a showboater, he was the guy who started the whole sack celebration thing, character thing, just like Terrell Owens, because of this is what prevented him from getting in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's the reason. I don't know what the committee was doing at the time. He retired in '89. He played football from NFL football from '79 to '89. He had the record in '84. That's when he got this record, the sack record. He was officially eligible after 5 years of his retirement, which means he would have been eligible in 1994. But if you go by that, in 94, from 94 to the 2001 season, that's what, 94, 95, 96, 97, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. Okay, that's like a good 8 years. Okay, 8 years of eligibility, and he had still the sack record at that point. And he had the sack record for most of his NFL career after he had gotten it, even into his post-career. So he had that record for a good, 17 years, okay? He had that sack record. So the idea that he wasn't eligible, he didn't get in the Hall of Fame because of Michael Strahan getting the record makes no goddamn sense. And if he really believes that, then that's totally wrong. Okay? Not having a record doesn't prevent you from not having a single season record has anything to do with whether you get in the Hall of Fame. That's like the equivalence of saying that Dan Marino doesn't get in the Hall of Fame because Peyton Manning overtook his touchdown passing record in 2004. Now, of course, we all know Dan Marino got into the Hall of Fame as a first ballot, but he didn't get in until 2005. I think it was 2005 he got in, right? That was his first year, though. First year of eligibility was 2005. But Peyton Manning broke his touchdown passing record in 2004, the year before. Does that mean because Peyton Manning broke his damn passing record, single season passing record for touchdowns, does that mean Dan Marino shouldn't get in? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the logic there. It's like, I don't think someone overtaking his sack record has anything to do with him going in the Hall of Fame or not. Okay? So yeah, I mean, in terms of him being in the Hall of Fame or should have gotten the Hall of Fame, yes, he should have. He got snubbed from the voters because of his character issues, because he did all the celebration gyrations, and apparently, again, the voters say that that's not a criteria, but it clearly is. And it was a criteria for why Terrell Owens was held out for 3 years after he was eligible. It's clearly something that they do because that's how biased the Hall of Fame voters are that do it, that vote on it. But here's the thing. We're talking about this sack record like Michael Strahan and Mark Gastineau own it. And here's the thing. They do not. The fact of the matter is the sack record, okay, the stat for sacking a quarterback is something, the stat, it didn't become an official stat until 1982. Obviously, football has been around before 1982. NFL football has been around way longer than 1982. But the whole stat of sacking a quarterback and getting them for a loss being counted as an official stat in the NFL didn't officially start until 1982, which means that people that were doing it before 1982, it didn't count. And this is a big deal, because what if I were to tell you that there's somebody prior to 1982 that has the sack record, that sacked the quarterback more than 22 times? Because it did happen. And here's my opinion, because the NFL Films has all of those sacks recorded on film. And because of that, I think we should start acknowledging the real sack leader. And it's this man right here, Deacon Jones, the Deacon. Deacon Jones in 1967. Keep in mind, this is a 14-game season, not a 16-game, or now, as it's currently, a 17-game season. Mark Gastineau played in a 16-game season, same with Michael Strahan. Okay, Deacon Jones played in a 14-game season, and in 1967, he recorded 26 sacks. He sacked the quarterback 26 times in 14 games. But because it was prior to 1982, the NFL did not count sacks as an official stat. So because of that, that's why Gastineau and Strahan are still the record holders. They should not be the record holders. Neither one of them should be. Deacon Jones has had that record since 1967. Just because the NFL didn't acknowledge sacks as a stat back then does not erase him sacking the quarterback, okay? We see that on film. We have proof that Deacon Jones sacked the quarterback 26 times because we have film. We have all the games. The NFL has all the games that Deacon Jones played in 1967. They have them all. They know Deacon Jones sacked the quarterback 26 times in a regular season, in one season. Because of this, we should be acknowledging Deacon Jones as the sack leader. All right, he should still be the sack leader to this day. To this day, 14 games. We have a 16 game and now a 17 game season as of a few years ago. And still to this day, no matter who it is, you go to the current players like TJ Watt, okay? None of them have come close to 26. Most of them have either tied or have gotten a sack behind, Michael Strahan and Mark Gastineau. Okay? Not one of them has even sniffed close to Deacon Jones' unofficial record. And yet, we're still trying to deny that he did this. Like, we're trying to pretend that Deacon Jones didn't do this when he factually did. I don't care that it was not an official stat before 1982. They should go back and reverse that. They should go back and reverse that. Roll it over because you have proof. Because they have NFL films like up to like, I don't know what year you would officially start recognizing it. Why? I guess whenever NFL films started, because that's when they started recording all the games on television. But they should go back. They should go back and acknowledge all the players that had the sacks prior to 1982. And they should recognize them, including Deacon Jones. Deacon Jones is the real sack leader. Not Mark Gastineau, not Michael Strahan, not TJ Watt. And again, these guys played in 16 and 17 game regular seasons. Deacon Jones played in 14 and got 26. Not one person has come close to that. Okay? Not one person with all the more games they have now. Not one person has come close to 26. So I'm sorry, no. That's Deacon Jones' record. But again, should Gastineau be in the Hall of Fame based on what he has done? I mean, I was looking over some of the stuff he had contributed outside of his 22 sack season. Yeah, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Prior to 1982, his 1981 season, he had 20 sacks, which again, that was before 1982. He had 19 in 1983, and then of course in 84 he had his 22 sacks. He had a total of 107.5 sacks throughout his career, and he had 2 touchdowns. So yeah, I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't agree with this whole confrontation he did with Brett, trying to say that it's Brett's fault why he's going, through all this when it wasn't. Brett Farb was doing something that was best for his team at that point. But I will say one more thing. And again, like I said, his teammates that were speaking on him and saying that he was selfish, that's I remember the one, I don't know who the one guy was. He was like, that guy, he's selfish. He's selfish. And I don't care. That's my opinion. That dude, I'm like, seriously? Like that guy has a serious ego. Cause again, being in the Hall of Fame, okay, should not be on whether he was selfish off the field or whatnot. You know, that's not how that shit works. That's not how the Hall of Fame should work. But again, I do think he was wrong to confront Brett Favre and say that Brett Favre was, you know, wrong for doing what he did. He did the most plausible thing you could have done, to force the Giants to use a timeout in that situation. If he throws the ball, the clock stops if it's incomplete. So it made the most sense. So again, Gastineau was completely wrong, and it was such an awkward confrontation too. Like I was like, "What are you doing, dude?" I mean, I think you should just blame the Hall of Fame. Like the Hall of Fame are the ones that are wrong in the situation. But yeah, that's my piece on this. Again, I think Gastineau is completely in the wrong for what he said about Brett. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? Yes. I don't think it's. I don't know why he's not. I think he's not in the Hall of Fame because of the character issues. I think they're taking him out. They're taking it out on him for his character issues. That's the reason why I don't think he's in. I don't think it has anything to do with his sack record being broken by Strahan. Because again, he had 8 years of eligibility before Strahan broke the record, and even longer than that before he retired. So again, I don't think that had anything to do with it. But that's my piece on it. Comment, rate, if you like this video, my videos, please subscribe, hit the notification bell for the latest content. Thank you. And that's it. I am the Ultimate Goku. I'm out of here. Peace. Also, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the Twitch and Instagram, same name, the Ultimate Goku. I also do have a Discord link in the description where we talk about a lot of various topics, including this one. Also, do have a YouTube tier list, so check out for any of those perks. And now I'm out. Peace.